This video is sponsored by my favorite website creator, Squarespace, the best place to go when you want to get a domain or create a beautiful website or an online store. If summer doesn't mean lazy days doing nothing but reading and drinking iced tea, you're not doing it right. Here's a list of my tip-top summer reads, both classics and new. Let's start with books about love. Is there anything more romantic than a summer fling? Especially if that summer fling just happens to be set in 20s Venice. Pulitzer Prize winner Edith Wharton wrote The Glimpses of the Moon in 1922, and although less famous than her book The Age of Innocence, I enjoyed it a lot more. It feels surprisingly modern about Nick and Susie, a poor socialite couple deciding to get married, go on a year-long Europe honeymoon financed by their rich friends, and get a divorce when the money runs out. Atmospheric as hell and with clever observations to spare. I really enjoyed it. If you want to spend your summer in a nostalgic Swedish small town, you should try A Summer with Kim Novak by Håkan Nesser. 14-year-old friends Erik and Edmund spend their summer on a Swedish lake. There's romance, mystery, friendship, and a crazy amount of nostalgia. Also made into a really lovely movie if you want the speedy version. By the way, I've started giving weekly book tips and stuff on my Instagram, so come hang out and give me your opinions on the books I mentioned. Not a summer love story as such, but Bernardine Evaristo's much talked about girl, woman, other is full of love for the sisterhood. 12 characters' lives intertwine as they navigate being women, black, and or queer in today's UK. It's a surprisingly easy and fun read considering it's written in quite experimental prose. So if you're interested in reading something a bit more artsy, but without it being crazily demanding, this is a good place to start. But mostly I want to recommend it because it gives me a sense of love for the sisterhood. The best parts of the sisterhood, the open-minded, welcoming, encouraging sisterhood we're seeing popping up more and more all the time. I'm here for it. Let's get into the thrills. Summer is for page-turning mysteries, am I right? One of my favorite detective series of late is the Sean Duffy series by Adrian McKinty. It's about Sean Duffy, a Catholic detective in 1980s conflict-stricken Northern Ireland. Basically, murder mysteries set against a war zone backdrop. However interesting the setting though, the real star is the language. McKinty writes such beautiful and hard-hitting prose that it gives you goosebumps. So, although they aren't technically summary books, I recommend you give them a go. I'm only halfway through this book, so I don't know if the ending is satisfying or not, but still wanted to put it on the list for two reasons. The book is set during a blazingly hot summer and the whole atmosphere is saturated with the suffocating heat, giving you instant summer feels. Secondly, the language is dreamy and moody, which makes it a perfect companion to the smothering, lazy, hot summer vibes. It's about Rachel, the mother of a teenage girl whose friend suddenly disappears. Drama and secrets and intrigue guaranteed. You want to get transported into ultimate lazy romantic summer mood instantly? Here are a few suggestions. Yes, I know I talk about this book all the time, but there is no better summer read than Bonjour Tristesse by Françoise Sagan. I read it more or less every summer on the veranda in a bikini and red lipstick, sipping champagne and loving life. About teenage girl Cecile spending a summer in a house on the sea in south of France with her dandy of a dad and his various girlfriends. Sagan was only 19 when the book was published in 1954 and has become a symbol of female sexual revolution. The acerbic observations, the immoral hero, the delicious little intrigues, you cannot find a better summer read. Fun fact, you can actually rent the house that the movie version was filmed in. As soon as quarantine is over, I'm taking David there on a little writing trip. Let's leave south of France and go to Greece. This book is a monster. One of my all-time faves, but seriously, it's bonkers. And it's long and it's completely mesmerizing, like nothing else I've ever read. I read it as a teenager, then reread it aloud with David. After I closed the book saying the end and looked up at David, he was like, "What the hell? What have we just read 650 pages of?" It's about Nicholas, an English teacher on a Greek island who becomes friends with a local millionaire. Then things get weird. The reason I love this monster of a book is because of the atmosphere. Again, instant summer mood. You just get transported to turquoise seas, olives and bread and retsina, white, flowy dresses, and useless intellectual conversations. Oh man, it's lush. Again, I'm in the middle of this book myself, so don't know about the ending, but the summer book by Tove Jansson is a must on this list. Usually talked about as the most summery book ever. Set on a small island outside of Finland, it's about an artist and her 6-year-old granddaughter spending a summer on the island. It's written with a beauty and typical sparse, clear Nordic tone, a very language-driven read, mostly consisting of dreamy descriptions of a Scandi island in the summer. Not much happens, let's be honest, it's more of a meditation than typical storytelling. Recognize the name Tove Jansson, by the way? Yep, she is the mother of Moomin and the gang. If you're into Scandi living, David and I talk about our upbringing all the time on the podcast if you want to give it a listen. Seriously, it's the coziest time of the week recording the podcast and chatting with you guys. Thanks for listening every week. Let's finish off with some summary memoirs. If you haven't read Hemingway's A Movable Feast about his years in Paris in the 20s, I highly recommend it. It's pure joy and jam-packed with anecdotes of his famous friends before they were cool. If you have a romantic, nostalgic feeling about 20s artist Paris, this is for you. Just keep in mind, Hemingway was a rascal. Just because something is in his memoirs doesn't mean it's true. Unreliable narrator, that one. Finally, if you haven't read Patti Smith's memoir of her New York Summer of Love 1967 and onwards, you should. Again, filled with anecdotes on artists causing mayhem before they were famous and about the sense of hope and romance. But shit, there is some gritty despair in there too, don't be fooled. This is actually the only book on my list not set mostly in Europe. It's the same every year. As soon as summer rolls in, I become a nostalgia addict. And that means reading books and watching movies about Sweden, Northern Europe and the Mediterranean, because those are the places I know from past summers. The rest of the year I love going around the world and reading my way to new places and cultures and moments in time, but in summer I just want to kind of relive my own previous summers. Are you the same? Do you go nostalgia hunting in the summer? If so, do give me your tips on your best summer reads, perfectly encapsulating what summer in your country looks like. As always, I'm super curious. And also, let's pepper each other with book tips in the comments, but only the most summery reads ever. I want thick atmospheres and hot laziness. Do you want to create a beautiful site, maybe start your own book blog or a place to share your own short stories? If so, you should definitely do it with Squarespace. They have great blogging tools to share your stories, photos and videos to make it easy to reach your audience. You can also auto-post your content to Twitter, Facebook or Tumblr, and simply schedule your posts for them to be properly tagged and the descriptions and titles will show up correctly. You can of course add your social media accounts to your site so that it's easy for your readers to find you everywhere. Squarespace also have great traffic analytics so that you can see how many people are visiting your site, how long they're staying for, where they're coming from and what they're interested in, like reading lists or book clubs for example. So what are you waiting for? Go get your free trial today at squarespace.com, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/jennymustard to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. I will be taking a couple of weeks off from videos now to enjoy summer and non-ending book reading moments, so please send me your summer book tips and enjoy yourself and take care of yourselves for now. Lots of summer love, puss puss and hej då.
Yeah. So we can either just be passive consumers and get shit like shoved down our throats, or we can be like consciously choosing what we consume and making sure that the media we consume is of a variety of voices.